Hey, good morning, folks. It's Tim O here, and today is another edition of the albums that I grew up with that have shaped my life and that I still listen to in this very day. And today's album is Working Man's Dead by the Grateful Dead. And this album I've had in my collection for a while. As you can see, it has been worn, and God knows what has been on this cover through the years. But is the inside cover. I don't even know if that is the original. It may be. The inner sleeve with some Miles Davis in there in Chicago, who I just seen the other night and actually were fantastic. Unfortunately, there's only like two people left in the group, but hearing those old songs were great. But back to this album, this album is a pair. The two that came, there's this one, and then there's American Beauty, and both of those are very favorite albums of mine. It was when they kind of got out of that psychedelic period and started bringing some Americana into it, and country music, even some sweet steel playing from Jerry. He had just come off of playing with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Actually, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and this is the fourth album from them, fifth overall actually. And it was released in February of 1970 on June 14th. And the album is a studio follow-up to American Beauty, which again is another one of my favorite albums. And this album has been ranked, I think it was in 2003, it was rated in Rolling Stone's magazine's greatest album at 262. And those charts and those lists, they don't mean too much to me. It's more about what you think of the album, what it meant to you, what it represents in your life. And and we all, like, there's albums that I've seen that they crucify and I love. So it just goes by your taste, and as I said, what this album really means to you. And for me, this album came at a time when I was kind of rediscovering myself. Again, when this came out, I was in 1970. I was a very young guy. So later on in life, this album came to be, and it came to be a part of my life. And I was listening to a lot of hard rock, and I was hanging around with a lot of hard people, and I was living kind of a very hard life, to be quite honest with you. And this album came into my life, and it was just like, it was gentle. It was, it had me, like wishing for better things. And at times, like some of the songs on there, to this day, they can still get me to well up a little bit, because they just touch something inside of me. And that's a very special thing. And that's what music does. If you're into music, you either make it, play guitar, or you play an instrument, or whatever it is. The music is basically in you, and then when you hear it, it just forms something that brings out that creative spirit in you. And that's what this album did to me. And in many ways, I was kind of blind back then. I was listening to a certain era, a certain genre. But that changed. I really have always been, even in my younger days to some extent, somebody that just didn't get caught up in just one type of music. I love blues, I love rock, I love country, I love jazz, some sorts of jazz. Some can be a little heavy, but there's all, the thing about jazz, it's so creative and it's right on the spot and it's spontaneous, and I like that thing. And this album could be dark at times, and then it could be danceable at times, and it's like, it had some great songs on it, or it has some great songs on it. you know, Uncle John's Band was always a great tune for me. High Time, Dire Wolf, New Speedway Boogie, which is about Altamont and what happened at that concert. And really, the Stones get a lot of blame, and to some extent, they weren't. You know, in many ways, they weren't responsible for it. The Dead is who got the got the Hell's Angels in there. And I'm not saying that they thought that this was going to happen, but the Stones got a bum rap for that, you know. And Cumberland Blues, Black Peter, I've come to really like that song in the beginning. I liked it, but, you know, as years gone by, Easy Wind, and then, of course, Casey Jones. And all of those songs on this are great numbers in front of my, you know, for my opinion. And it brings me back to a time of innocence, when things were kind of strange. You know, when you're young, things are strange, and things are happening. You're experiencing things for the first time. There's many, you know, like first times to a lot of things, and you know, with music, I never had to feel like I was secret. You know, I love to express. I love to turn people on to music. And those that didn't, you know, that couldn't get it, you know, well, then I felt that it was like my own little secret. You know, like I see something in this music that other people don't. And, you know, that's great. It's a great time, you know, and it was great enjoying the music for the first time with my brother or with friends. I remember cranking this thing out the back window as we all would sit down on the porch and have a few drinks, and, you know, on a Friday night, and the parents were away. It was just one of those albums that just kind of like set a scene. It was like, you know, the Grateful Dead, they've always been kind of like into that getting high scene. You know, their music is like that. You know, it kind of shaped me in many ways for the way I was about to head out in the world, you know. And you know, I remember playing this stuff out the front. That was a place that we called out the projects that we used to hang around in those summer days, and, you know, all being up in the mountains, going up to the mountains, and, you know, where it was hot and like high up and everything was kind of high, but, you know, people just sitting around, you know, talking, jumping in those cool mountain springs up there, walking through the grass, seeing moose off in the distance, you know, the green, the hush, the ferns. It's just, you know, just a cool place to be. And this music was just cool for me. And it was like, you know, in those sanctuaries of my life, this music really grabbed hold of me, and just had me brimming, you know, just had me really getting into it, you know, just chilling, and I loved it, and I still do. And you know, and it's great that these albums from my youth can you know, still you know, make me feel good, you know. Then you know, the lyricist Robert Hunter, he had joined the band on the road for the first time around this, you know, resulting in a period of, you know, fresher song development, you know, from the band. And you know, unlike that psychedelic stuff, it was like, you know, in the electrified music, it you know, these new songs brought them in a new direction, and you know, more in like a folk band way, and that Americana, and it just kind of shifted from, you know, the acid days to, you know, just kind of like a group mindset, and I love these songs, you know, and now, you know, as a sober guy, I love these songs even more. You know, it's a great song to put on the weekend if you're chilling, or you got, you know, like me with Carol, and even, or if she's out, you know, just put it on. I can get like serenity from it. I can like just breathe, man. It's like breathe again. And I love that heavy music. Don't get me wrong. I always have. Like I said, I love all sorts of music. But as the years have gone by, this album has really become a part of me. And it's just been it's been like a companion. It's like one of those albums that you bring through in life. And we have gone on road trips, and back in the day when we'd be going to shows, this thing would be cranking. And but even me and Carol, we go out on a sunny day, a nice Sunday, take a ride through the country, put this album on. She's even become a I wouldn't say a deadhead, but she definitely likes this and American Beauty, and it's great to be able to turn somebody else on to the music that you love, that they never heard. Carol she's heard of the Grateful Dead, but she never really got into the music. And when we'd go down the Cape and go to like the Dead shop down there, and would be in there shopping, she'd hear that music. She was like, they sound good. And then we'd like put, I'd get Spotify or whatever, or YouTube or whatever, and put on a show, and it would just be just good cruising, chilling music. And I love that. I really do. That's just good stuff. So if the years have gone by, the Dead are gone now. And as they rightfully should be. I think I heard Mayor's gonna try to keep it going, and I think it should be gone. They had a long run. They legendary shows. They are legends for a live act. There's nothing like going to a Dead show. Not even the music that's coming from the stage, just the audience stuff, man. And I wanted to spring this album onto you, because I like to turn people on. If you have this in your collection, please go back and pick it out. If it's been years since you heard it, listen to it again, and may bring you up to the stars of where you were one time, and just, or it will just bring you, great to put on in the morning, if you're not disturbing the neighbors, just even low as background music, as the day begins. And these albums are sacred to me. They always will be. And I'll be dancing and just moving to the music for the rest of my life. I play it. I dig it. I love to go to new bands. I love to, see new bands out there. And I'm so glad that I got a group of guys that love to do that. But I still go back to those years when these albums take me back to my youth, and or they just represent something in me now, all these years later, that they didn't then. But that's growth, man. That's growth, and this music doesn't go away. It only goes away if you allow it to. It stays within me, and it will always stay within me. So today's album was and is, it's kind of weird. You have to turn it around. But it's Workingman's Dead by the Grateful Dead. And if you got this, please break it out, CD form. I guess, look at it on Spotify, whatever, how you listen to your music. Do it. And listen, if you like this, give it a like. And I'm grateful for all of you that are on my channel. It's a pleasure to bring you new music and old music and just music in general every single day. And I wouldn't have this. This was my idea. I wanted a place where I could just share music, and it didn't have to be no rules or nothing. I don't care what you post on this site. If it means something to you, then it means something to me that it means something to you. So listen, have a great day and be well. Take care.